Gerard Fox, what's happening?
It's good.
You already know, man. Today we're going to do the continuation of the A&R Part 2.
Okay.
We're going to go in a little bit about, further A&Ring and things like that.
Well, we're going to talk about picking an artist. You have to have the pulse of the people. You have to have the pulse of the youth. You have to have an understanding of what's currently happening. And you also kind of have to be a visionary about knowing where things are going. Some people do this easily. Some people, have to learn this. Me personally, I've always had the ability to look at an artist in their beginning stages and tell whether they're going to be successful or not, because I'm unselfish in the way I think and I respect the youth. And speaking of respecting the youth, that has a lot to do with picking an artist. When you become somebody that's above the age of 30 years old, you're trying to do A&R work, you can't see young artists through what you're accustomed to. You can't see young artists through your vision of where you came from, because then it gets diluted. You have to have an understanding. Like I see music in two different ways. When I listen to music personally, I like music that I personally like. When I'm choosing an artist, a lot of times I see music through the eyes of my son, or through the eyes and ears of my daughter, or through the eyes and ears of somebody 16, 17, 18 years old. Because the youth and the younger people are always going to be the people that are going to push the culture forward. So you can't be one of those older people that are haters and like, oh, that music back in my day was better, and back in my day was this, because that's not going to work for you. You're not going to pick a successful artist with that type of attitude. I was telling my boy the other day, if you remember when we were 15, I'll give you a prime example. When I was 15 years old, I remember being in my neighborhood and playing the Fat Boys tape on my Panasonic box. And my boy's uncle was about 30 years old at the time. I was 15, my boy was 15. And he came out and he said, "What is that mess y'all listening to? What is that garbage?" He's like, "What is that guy doing, spitting on the microphone?" Because he was listening to Buffy beatbox. And we was out there jamming, and he was trying to explain to us that that wasn't real music, and that was garbage, and that we needed to go back and listen to the Delphonics and the Stylistics. And we were respectful. So we sat down and we listened to him respectfully speaking, and as soon as he walked away, it was brrr, stick 'em. we was back to that. Because at the end of the day, the younger generation always has a type of music that moves them, that they feel. And when you disrespect them, how you expect them to respect you? When you disrespect what young people like, how do you expect young people to respect what you are or what you're trying to do? Now, what he was saying was actually correct. Yeah, those musicians that he was speaking about were great musicians, and they were valid, and I understand that today. But the Fat Boys were valid to me, and they moved the culture of hip-hop forward to me. Run DMC and Houdini and UTFO were valid to me as a 15-year-old. That was who I listened to. So now the young people are listening to, if you're talking about rap, they're listening to Meek Mills. He got the streets now. They're listening to the Tigers. They're listening to the Big Seans. They're listening to these young artists. You can't look at these artists and say, oh, in my time it was this and that. No, you're not listening, because I listen to these artists and they make good music. And that's what the youth is listening to. And if you want to pick, music for the future, if you want to pick that kind of music that's going to push the culture forward, you got to be in tune with what is going on currently and seeing what's going on in the future. So, don't be a hater. Have respect for young people. Have respect for what they listen to. They'll respect you. But like I said, as far as picking music, the bottom line is understand what's pushing the culture forward. Everything changes. Everything replenishes itself. And, enjoy what's going on. See what's going on. It's young music. It's good music. It's going to push the culture forward. Stop hating. Because a lot of these artists are great, and they are coming out and doing good music. So, me personally, I'm always going to pick an artist that I know is going to push the culture forward. I'm never going to have a problem, in different times, because I love what's going on now. I appreciate the future, and I love when things evolve. You have to evolve, and you have to change to become successful. So nothing is going to be the way it used to be. So, I know I went off on a couple tangents, but